Hey guys, what's going on with Liz Ferro? She's the author of several books. One is A Finish Line Feeling, Chameleon Girl, Girls with Soul, and she has a book coming out in July, Letting Frogs Go. She's a mother, speaker, and athlete, and founder and CEO of Girls with Soul. So, Liz, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me. I feel honored.
Oh yeah, thanks for coming on. One of the reasons why I want to bring you on is because I know you do. There's a lot of things that you do. One big thing I think is cool is that besides just being an author and writing these books, is that you've been a very active athlete throughout your life. Former Division I swimmer. You played tennis and rugby. You've done triathlons, marathons. Is there anything I'm leaving out? There's a dodgeball thing I saw too.
I'm awesome at kickball.
Okay. Nice. So some of the cool facts, which I think I knew this one is, you're with your running career, you've done marathon in all 50 states.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks.
And you did that in 2.5 years.
Yes. I gave myself 5 years to do it because I started when I was 45, and I thought it would be cool to reach 50 when I was 50. But then knowing me, which I know you know me a little bit, I'm a little crazy. So once I got going,
I know.
I didn't stop.
Yeah.
So 2.5 years, I did all 50.
That was your first marathon when you were 45?
No, my first marathon I did when I was 25 or 24. It was the Las Vegas Marathon.
Oh, okay, cool. So how many did you run before you were 45? Because you've done 78 total?
I've done 78, yeah.
That's crazy.
If Ironmans count, probably, I don't know, like 10 or 15, something before that, 21 maybe.
Okay.
Something like that.
So the bulk of them were after 45.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a lot of people that are like 30 and they're like, I'm too old to do this.
Yeah, and I was doing some of them back-to-back days too, because they have series races so that you don't have to keep flying back and forth, out and back, say to Utah or somewhere. So you can be a crazy freak and do 4 in 4 days back to back in 4 different states.
So how is that work? Because, most people will work out for an hour and they're sore for 2 days and they can't work out again, but you do a marathon and you're able to do it the next day. So how do you get in the mindset to do it again the next day?
Yeah, well, that's probably 99.9% of the problem is the mental toughness of it. It's probably actually easier just to keep going and not stop. But once you lay down and sleep and all that lactic acid builds up and all that, it gets kind of crazy to get up the next day and do it again. But also you have to, perfect way you phrased it is it's a mindset. I know that's what I'm going to be doing. So it's kind of like if you went out for a run or if you were doing reps in the gym and you told yourself in your mind ahead of time, I'm only going to do 5. When you hit 5, you feel like you have to stop.
Right.
Because you told yourself that. Same thing. It's on a bigger scale, of course, and you pace yourself accordingly and all of that. And, of course, I have my little massagers and, stuff to help me out. But in my mind, I'm telling myself this is going to be a long weekend or a long 4 days or whatever, and you just do it.
Yeah, that's all. Well, it seems like you have that mindset because you did it in 2.5 years and you gave yourself a lot longer than that. So why did you give yourself that timeline, and why did you do it a lot quicker than that?
Well, a couple of reasons. One, everything boils down to money. I mean, these are, races mostly that I was driving to if I could. Mm-hmm. And even still, gas is expensive, but you gotta stay somewhere. It costs money to travel, right? So at the time, my husband and I were like, okay, let's budget 5 years. That's doable. But, knowing me, okay, all of a sudden it got cut in half because I get overzealous, I get excited. It's sort of like an addiction. It's a challenge. I had all these states and I had a map that I was filling out every time I ran one. And I was like a little kid. I'm like, I got to fill in the states, you know? And I just got a little out of hand. But probably because, my brother told me when I told my family, I think it was a Easter dinner or some crap like that. And I was like, I'm going to run a marathon in all 50 states for Girls with Soul. And my brother said to me right immediately, that's stupid. First thing he came out of his mouth. And I didn't expect that, like you expect any kind of reaction, like, wow, okay, or whatever. But no, that's stupid. And I was like, all right, why is it stupid? He said 2 reasons. One, you're too old and you're not going to be able to do it. And I was like, oh, fuck no. Now I went home and signed up for 10 races that day.
Wow.
That was number one reason. So, of course, once anyone tells me I can't do something, it's done yesterday. Other reason was you're going to have to go places no one would ever want to go to. And I'm like, what does that mean? Because I want to go everywhere. I don't care where it is.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing new things. I want to experience new stuff. I want to see every fucking thing. So I was like, I don't get it. Where would I not want to go to? He's like, I don't know, like Nebraska or North Dakota. And he was like listing all these states that he was like, who the fuck would want to go there?
Right.
And I was like, I do. So once I started going, and he saw like the momentum and how excited people were when I was doing it. I was starting to get invited to like speak on TV and do all this stuff. He was like, oh, this is not so bad after all. Like, she's okay, whatever. And then to say sorry and to take it back in his own way, for Christmas that year, he bought me my entry to the Fargo, North Dakota Marathon. And he went with me and we did the race together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So he took it all back.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to prove people wrong, I guess, in good ways.
And it is something that is like, you've obviously did it, but it's something that just sounds really unbelievable, It does, because like people don't just, you just say it and just like, yeah, okay. I mean, that's, whatever. But when you actually start doing it is when people like start believing,
Well, that's true. And they don't understand, like, when you were talking about the growing pains, moving the gym and stuff, there's so much behind it that goes into it that other people don't see. It's like an iceberg of, okay, what's being done, but what all goes into it, all the pain and the money and the I have to get up my ass early at 4 a.m. to go to some stupid marathon up in a canyon in Utah, and they have nothing up there and it's freezing. So they put out these fire pits. So I'm leaning into the fire pit because I'm freezing my ass off and I burn myself before the race. Like, just stupid crap that like other people are like, oh, I don't know. I don't think you could do that. But a lot goes into it, and you just do it anyway.
What was your last? What was the last state? Was like when you accomplished that last one. What was that feeling like? And what'd you do to celebrate?
Oh my God, number 50. That was in Missoula, Montana, and I love being out west more than anything. I just love it out west. There was somebody at the race who had run it for their 50th birthday, so they had this giant 50 balloon, and I was like, this was meant to be.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, can I borrow your balloon? And he was like, oh my God. So we were all like taking pictures with the balloons, and it just was such an amazing feeling. My whole family was just super supportive of it, and to celebrate was really just, knowing that I did it for the Girls with Soul kids, and when I went home, they had like a little party for me, and it was fun.
Well, that's awesome. So you did the Great Wall of China as well. It was a marathon in the Great Wall of China. What was that experience like?
Oh my God, insane! In the best ways possible, really. It was once in a lifetime for sure. So after I did all 50 states, my next goal for Girls with Soul is to run a marathon on all 7 continents, and I have them all almost done. But the Great Wall of China is just an amazing race, but it's also probably, I would have to say, and they're all so hard in their own way. I mean, 26.2 miles, Ironman's, all of it. Ironman is 140.6. It's tough, I mean, there's no doubt about it, and it doesn't matter where it is or what. But the Great Wall is also an additional 5,000 vertical climbs. So you have to climb over 5,000 steps on the wall as part of the race course. And it's brutal. I mean, it's hot as fuck. It's like 95 degrees. There's no shade because you're on the Great Wall of China. I heard a guy behind me crying at one point. A girl puked over the wall. Was
there a lot of people that did it?
Yeah, it's actually a really well done race, popular race, because there's a lot of crazy people in the world like me that want to do all 7 continents. So it's not unusual, for some people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really it was just incredible. A couple of times, because they didn't have OSHA requirements, when they built the Great Wall. So sometimes they're like tiny little steps. Other times they're really far apart and you literally have to climb them with your hands. It's, hot. There's no shade.
Was that the hardest one that you did? Or
I would have to say, yeah.
What about in the States, though? What was the hardest one that you did?
Oh, my gosh. They all have their challenges. I ran one. It's called the Mad Marathon in Vermont, and it's near Sugarbush Ski Resort. So we had, at the beginning of the race, a 7-mile incline running up a mountain. 7 miles is a long incline. But I don't know. They're all different. Like, sometimes elevation plays a factor, which you can't train for here in Ohio. Heat, things like that. I thought Sedona was really challenging, but it was also so beautiful that I didn't even care. And that's how I felt in, like, seriously, so many places, even in, like, Wyoming, definitely on the Great Wall, when I was in Antarctica. Like, I would, like, for a moment when I started to get a little like, okay, I'm feeling this or I'm not feeling this, depending on how you look at it, I have to take a step back and look around and be like, I'm on the fucking Great Wall of China right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what do I have to complain about, Or look at these mountains. Look at how beautiful it is here. So anywhere that's desert, I found out I'm a desert rat. I didn't know that until I started traveling. Because, usually you go to your usual spots, like mountains and beach and things like that.
What are you talking about specifically, like desert?
Like anywhere. I loved Sedona so much. I love California. I did the Death Valley Marathon. Death Valley is pretty crazy hot and hilly, but it's the desert. I love it. I ran desert New Mexico. I did the Day of the Dead Marathon in New Mexico. I think until it's the beauty of travel. It's the beauty of athletics, pushing yourself to do stuff that isn't your comfort level. I mean, if you've already mastered it, what are you really getting out of it, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I learned a lot. Plus, I did a lot of these races by myself. They weren't really vacations. Like I would get in a car, drive to the race, do the race, literally cross the finish line, sometimes change in my car, drive home. Because I have things at home. My kids were at home.
Right.
I had my nonprofit, just, things needed to get done. I couldn't be on a vacation. So it really was like a mission, But you learn so much traveling alone, being accessible. I remember being in Death Valley. There's no GPS. It doesn't work, And I was totally lost. No clue how to get out of there. And I'm by myself in the car in freaking Death Valley. You know how big Death Valley is?
It's like before your marathon, or is this after?
It was after. I was tooling around, and I went up into the mountains to spread my brother's ashes because I promised that I would do that when he passed away. And I got lost. So after I did that, I flagged this guy down because you could totally, I'm just saying, this is going to sound like I'm creepy, but you could bury like a dead body out there and nobody would ever see you.
Sure, there's a lot of them out there.
I wondered how many.
For sure.
I'm like, oh, finally a person. So I flagged him down. Of course, he totally could have killed me or whatever because I'm like blatantly telling him I have no clue where I am. He was like, oh, he had a mountain bike on the top of his car and he was European. I didn't catch what accent. He had a big map and he was like the real deal, like he looked hardcore, like he could do an ad for like power bars or Cliff bars or some shit. But no, he was really nice, very sweet, did not kill me. And I followed him, to the area to get out. Everything always just works out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, you've had a lot of experiences there. Yeah.
Not
some terrifying,
ones, but they things are meant to be, I think. Even the really bad things in your life are meant to be, which I'm like living proof of that.
Yeah, I agree. What would you say is like doing that because it was 50 states, 78 marathons, Ironman, right? You did 5 of those.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think was like the biggest thing you learned about yourself, like going through all that?
Oh God. Probably just that I don't look like much, but I'm tough as nails, I have tenacity like a pit bull. I love boosting other people up when they're not doing well. So I feel like you learn about yourself as, an empathetic person, but that you're also you're a hard ass too at the same time. And I think that's kind of a cool combination because I'm super kind, but you don't want to fuck with me either.
Right.
Because I run 26.2 miles for fun.
Right. Now, how far do you think you could go? Like, you ran 26.2 and you did that even sometimes back-to-back days. What's the longest? Have you ever tested yourself, or what's the longest you think you could run without like physically stopping?
Well, I did a couple 50Ks, so those are 31 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, I stopped to pee, so does that count?
I mean, you could consider that in there. Yeah, you throw that in there.
You know, I like to be comfortable. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not out there to win anything necessarily. So, I don't know. I've never gone past 50K unless it was an Ironman, but that doesn't count because that's 3 different sports.
Yeah. Do you like now? Is the Ironman, is that more enjoyable than a marathon, or do you think that's? I mean, it's a whole separate animal, But is it? What to you is more challenging? Is it the Ironman or is it the marathon?
Wow. That's a hard one to say. Probably Ironman, I guess, just because, I mean, it's a lot more hours involved, which can obviously add up to a lot more probability of something maybe not going right. Like in Florida, I did an Ironman in Florida, and it was my first one, and I was young and dumb and hadn't had a lot of that kind of like ultra endurance experience. And so the whole time I'm thinking, okay, it's humid, it's hot, I'm in Florida, I need to hydrate. So your nutrition and all that stuff is really important. People don't think about it, but I actually you eat while you're on the bike. So much goes into it because you're tipping those scales, you're tipping that balance of electrolytes, salt, like everything is just all whacked out. It's not really a healthy thing to do. I mean, that's a long time to be out there. My best time is 12 hours. My worst time is 15 hours, and the cutoff is usually 17 hours where they don't let you continue on. You're done. But it's just a challenge in its own right, just to have to deal with the extra stuff. So not just the extra mileage. It's 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike. So it's like riding to Columbus or whatever. And then you get off your bike and you run 26.2 miles. So clearly you need to ingest something without upsetting your stomach, if that's possible.
Right, yeah.
When you're running and biking and swimming.
That's why there's so little people do it in terms of all the competitors, you know what I mean? I always think it's really impressive when people accomplish that. Chase, one of our fighters, his dad has done a bunch of them and stuff, and I think it's just such an awesome thing.
It is pretty cool. I didn't know Chase's dad did Ironman or triathlon. It's cool because they're very, very different sports. So, it's kind of cool to put them together, and that's the thing. Everyone has a weak link. Swimming is usually somebody's because unless they grew up swimming, and open water swimming is a completely different animal than pool swimming. So it doesn't all equate to go together necessarily. That's what makes it so cool.
Yeah.
But in the Florida race, what I was going to say real quick was I thought I was going to dehydrate. So I kept taking all this water in. Well, after a certain amount of time, you wash all the salt out of your body. If you don't replenish the salt, you can't absorb the water. And so you're just literally just bringing water into your body that you can't do anything with. So you overhydrate and your stomach gets distended. My brain actually grew, which didn't make me any smarter because I kept going. So I'm walking along and I'm dying. I feel like I'm dying because my stomach literally was like just pregnant looking and it hurt. And my head was all crazy because my brain was over watered and got too big for my head. So you can actually die from this. It's like a thing. I can't pronounce what it's really called. I just call it overhydration because it has a special word and I can't remember it. But anyway, so I'm walking along and there's these guys because, a lot of times people will come out and drink all day and watch the Ironman when you're racing.
I like it.
I'm like,
that's
wow.
me.
That would be me. That would be me. I should be me, when I retire. So I was walking along trying to get myself to do at least the marathon shuffle, get going again. But also was trying to decipher what all was going on. And in my mind, I'm like, well, of course I feel like shit. I'm doing a fucking Ironman. Duh. So it didn't really faze me that much. These kids were like, slow clap. Yeah, walking's a sport too. I'm like, I'm going to kill you. If I had an ounce of energy right now, I'd kill you. But I mean, it's all part of the learning curve.
What happened after that? How'd you, deal with that?
I got to an aid station that had broth. So the broth is there clearly for salt intake. And it's something that's easy to get in and not have to chew it and hopefully not make you sick. And that kind of got me better
Yeah.
to a degree so I could keep going. So I finished and I didn't get kicked off the course. I didn't beat the shit out of those punks. Although I would have thought they were hilarious if I wasn't feeling sick.
Right.
I would have been yelling shit with them if I wasn't feeling sick. It's different when you're fatigued, all of a sudden how cranky you can be, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Hangry.
Angry.
Yeah, well, like when you say like it was the bike ride's 112 miles. You said it's like when it's like 112 miles. But then you say it's like a 2-something mile swim. You're like, oh, the swim's got to be easy then, right?
Yeah.
So what, like, it's definitely difficult.
Yeah, it's funny because you hear these giant mileages, like 112 or even 26.2 or whatever. So 2, of course, in comparison seems like nothing. But swimming is a whole different thing. I don't know if you've ever, do you swim at all? Like
no, not
laps
no, never.
Yeah, I mean, even like a 500. So if you do a 500-yard swim, if that's your event, it's 20 lengths of the pool. That's considered a long race. And, that's only 20 lengths.
Right.
So 2 miles is 2.4, almost 2.5. That's far.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of people like kind of quit out early in those things? I mean, it's obviously it's very difficult, but you see a lot of people just drop off, like tap out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've had people who I was at a race with or friends with who got pulled out of the swim even. And that's sad because, you put a lot of time and effort into it to get there and then you get yanked out of the swim. But one of the races was really bad weather. And I want to say the waves were 3.5 foot, almost 4 foot. So you couldn't see the buoys. So the buoys are obviously how you sight where you're going when you're in open water. So you're swimming and you're doing crawl stroke like normal when you turn to breathe, but you sight like this. You lift your head up so you can see. You couldn't see anything because all you saw was waves coming and crashing into your face. And you'd go up and then they would let you drop and it would smash your teeth together. And my one friend threw up. He swallowed so much salt water.
Wow.
And so, yeah, you see people drop out on the bike for various reasons. Could be mechanical, could be they don't feel it, but mostly on the run.
Yeah.
I did the Texas Ironman. It was so hot. It was in Houston. And, oh, my God, it's humid. And just walking to the start of the race, sweating my ass off already, I knew I was going to be in trouble.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
So.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you had a lot of fun, though, too, besides it, challenging you.
It is fun. It's one of those things, that you cross the finish line, you feel like the most amazing human in the world because you accomplished something that scared the shit out of you. I mean, I get scared even after all these races every time because I know how it's going to feel.
Yeah. Well, like, how do you, because you're obviously, have had a lot of influence, especially with like a lot of like younger girls, and I'm sure you've motivated a lot of them, to take on different challenges in their life. But you have a very good personality, positive, badass side to you. How do you kind of keep it balanced? So if I'm like some 20-year-old kid and I'm like, oh, I'm too old to start doing marathons now, is it like you try to put a positive spin or just tell them shut the fuck up and just do it?
When I do say shut the fuck up and just do it, it's with a huge smile.
Yeah,
and I'm usually laughing. So that's how I get away with that. Depends on the kid, obviously. But yeah, you just have to tell them that, first of all, you're not too old. But also, you could be in an amazing place because you're going to start. Whereas like if you start early, you're going to beat your body up for how many years? You could be in a worse place by the time you're my age. I mean, I put a lot of miles on my body, and I'm starting to feel it now. But, I mean, they're like clay.
Yeah.
Fresh clay. They could be molded in any way. But, yeah, there's been kids in the programs, like for Girls with Soul, who didn't want to do stuff or said, I will never do that. And I usually just laugh. I'll say, you're okay.
Yeah.
Whenever I say you're okay, they don't know what to do with that. So, Oh, okay, I'm okay. All right, I'll do it. And they just do it.
Yeah, because it's difficult, like especially if you've been through that, because that's like a lot of physical, like that's a lot of tough miles you put on your body. And to have people that don't have that mindset, they're so far away. And, they might have a really weak mindset. They maybe want to get to that point. It's kind of hard. You got to like really try to find a good balance of like how to speak to them because you want them to do it. But you're so far away from that mindset, of like, I don't know what it's like to just not want to do anything and not do it. You know, you're just like, if I know that there's a challenge ahead of me, I'm just going to do it, where they're at the complete opposite. So I'm sure it's pretty difficult sometimes to try to, help those people,
Well, especially because a lot of them have not had fitness or anyone pushing them on their radar in their whole entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no example of that. So when things get tough, physically tough, even when they start to get hot, and they, that initial, when you get that weird, like I'm starting to warm up feeling, but you're not really sweating yet,
Mm-hmm.
That's when they want to quit. And I'm like, you didn't even start yet. You didn't even get to good stuff yet. You want to quit already. So you got to overcome that mindset of wanting to give up before things even get started, because it hurts.
And like, I've never like did a workout. There's been so many workouts that I just didn't do because I was like unmotivated or whatever. But every single time I've done a workout, I've never regretted it. Like, it's just something that you know that you're not going to regret doing this, even if it's like challenging for you. Obviously, like hopefully no injuries come along with it, but you go through a really tough workout every single time. It's like, that was awesome. I really, I'm glad that I did that, but you just got to get to that first one,
It really is. It's like the first step is the hardest, what is that quote about the journey of 1,000 miles
Snow cone, India.
Starts with a single step, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what it is? I think that's what it is. It's Lao Tzu or somebody. But anyways, it has to, this isn't mine. Oh, it's a pale ale. Okay.
If you want to have a swig.
Does it come free with the book?
It does, yeah. It's warm.
It's a gift with
purchase.
Yeah. No, it's just really, I feel the same way. And I've never one single time walked out of a workout and thought, wow, I feel worse, or,
right.
I wish I didn't do that. And it reminds me of the athletic classes that I take at Strong Style, because, sometimes I don't want to go, but I know that I'm going to be happy when I'm there, like the village idiot that escaped, because I'm always like all laughing and being an idiot. But I don't have that energy until I'm there, and I'm, the camaraderie in the class, just being in it with other people, and then obviously the actual workout, I walk out like a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I need to try to instill in the kids that don't want to do anything.
Yeah. No, it's, I think it's, like what you're doing and your attitude towards it is great. And I think you need that balance, because the thing is, like, there's not, let's face it, like, there's not a lot of like women that have gone through this like you have. But that's why I think you're an inspiration to a lot of, the girls and the women that want to do this stuff, So I think that, that having that kind of voice and that good, positive energy, but also the badassness, I think it really relates to a lot of these, girls. And I think it definitely helps them kind of motivate them too,
Mm-hmm. I hope so. And I think with women in general, I want, them to understand. And I guess it's a double-edged sword in this regard, because you have to actually do it and achieve something that's hard for you to understand, okay, this is what it's about. It's not about what I look like, or when I say I'm a badass, if I'm walking down the street, I don't look like I'm super like cut up, crazy, like no one's going to be like, wow, she must be like an ultra endurance athlete, or, no,
right.
But what is that supposed to look like? And I want to take that image out of people, women, girls' minds, because it can keep you and hold you back from doing so many amazing things. Like, they might be afraid to even come into a gym, like, let alone an MMA gym. You put that on there and it's like, oh shit, it's going to be a bunch of grunting men, and I'm going to look fat, or I'm going to not be good enough, or whatever. And that all goes away once you start realizing what your body can do and what you actually are capable of. But the only way you can do it is to try. So you got to get over that initial bullshit and just do it.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden you're like, now I'm to the point where, because I used to have a lot of those issues too in my own way, just from like PTSD and different reasons why I had them. But now I don't look at like, okay, what does my body look like? Or, and of course I'm vain enough, I do, but not to the point where it'll ever hold me back from anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I look in the mirror before I go somewhere. I'm like, I ran on the fucking Great Wall of China. I've been all over the world by myself. Like, I've done really hard things. So this ain't shit compared to that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people that are really, intimidated even going into a gym, it's like they think that, they need to get in shape before they actually work out at the gym. It's insane.
I hate that.
It's like if you're sick and you're going to wait until you get better to go to a doctor?
Go to the doctor when I feel good. No, you go before that, and then you'll feel good.
Yeah.
Yes, that drives me nuts.
And especially even like the gym, like not ours. Most gyms, it's like the idea of it is intimidating, but most of the time people are pretty cool there. They're there to help.
Oh my gosh.
And like
it's the ultimate like chill, great environment. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when I think of the people who might feel intimidated, I picture the gyms, and there are still gyms like that out there, where the girls or the men are in front of the mirrors taking photos of their butts, like while people are working out and stuff, like I don't give a shit. Take pictures of your butt all damn day,
Right.
but you don't need to do it in the main cardio room, or like they're just flexing their ass, or I don't know. There's a vibe, they're putting their makeup on before they go out to work out. It is so not like that. It's a family, and like everyone's so supportive, and there's every different body type there. And for sure, I mean, if anyone is ever intimidated to come to Strong Style, I'll go beat them up myself.
Right. I know it's tough because like we have a lot of really tough like fighters and coaches there, but like, I mean, some of the coolest people, like even, Marcus, who started almost 30 years ago, it's like new people come to the gym. He freaking loves it. Like it's awesome because he's like, oh, I'm going to get to teach this person what I know. You know what I mean? And it's like,
and he always has that big smile. Like it's not an intimidating way of, you walk into the gym and that this guy is that accomplished, or Stipe is there or whatever. You're just walking around like working out with everybody else, but he doesn't act weird, or
right.
You don't feel anything or bad vibes or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's definitely, I mean, it's my home away from home for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's like one of the biggest things. It's like that I enjoy being there. So many people feel like it's like their second home, and I know there's a lot of gyms like that. Like, unfortunately we can't have 1 million people in our gym, but it's like, it's always great when people find that gym that they feel like that comfortable enough, and they hate missing a day because they're going to let their teammates down or whatever,
Exactly.
I think it's an important feeling to have.
That's another thing too, like people who have grown up, even, I've mentioned earlier, people who have not grown up with fitness on their radar. Then there's the other side of the coin, where maybe you were an athlete your whole life and you're used to having a coach tell you what to do. And now you're an adult out there in the workforce and trying to balance life and fitness and everything on your own without anyone giving you a plan.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, now what do I do?
Yeah.
They don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah, a lot of those athletes, they feel like they're like always training for something, training for their season. But when you realize like you're done playing sports, you're like, well, I don't really have anything to train for. It's like life, motherfucker. Like train for life now,
What about
But it's hard to motivate people,
or even just your brain,
right? Yeah,
all the good things that come with it. I don't know. For me, it's definitely for life. But I have met people who were collegiate athletes who they just are like, I don't even know what to do. Even swimmers, you just get in the pool and you start swimming laps, and you're like, okay, that was boring. And get out, and you don't know what else to do about it.
Yeah, they're so used to that structure and everything. They don't have that anymore. But that's why you got to go to a good gym with good coaches that's going to guide you. And even if it's been a while and you haven't played sports in years, get to a good gym with good coaches that could take you through everything, and then hopefully you become a little bit more independent after that, or you keep on doing the classes. But I think you still need that structure and guidance.
For sure.
So going to some of the books that you've written now, we have a couple of them. We have
That's
Finish Line Feeling. We have Girls with Soul and Chameleon Girl. So what was the experience like? Because these are 3 that you have, and then you have the other one coming out, which is
Letting Frogs Go.
It's coming out in July.
Yep, July 24th.
Okay,
that's
cool.
Fiction, and so is Chameleon Girl, which actually Stipe should read it because it's a firefighter. It's a female firefighter, though.
Yeah.
I wonder, are there any females in his firehouse? Do you know?
I'm not sure in his firehouse. I know there's been a couple girls at the gym that are female firefighters. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of female police officers, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, out of the 3 so far, which one has been the most enjoyable for you? And do you feel like, I think maybe, what's been most enjoyable for you so far out of writing all 3?
Probably the first one, Finish Line Feeling, because it is the story of kind of my life and how I started Girls with Soul and all the stuff in between. So it kind of reads like a novel because I've had some crazy times in my life. So it's not all like bad stuff. There's funny things in there. But I think it was enjoyable for me because it kind of was like in my mind, I literally was just like, I'm just going to write this because I want to have my story out there for my kids, like as a legacy sort of. And then I was also, my plan was hopefully if there's kids or women or somebody that can't take part in the Girls with Soul programs, then maybe they could have access to the book. So it would help me reach people that I can't personally reach. So that was my only thought, goal, motivation. And then I was like, then I'll just, never do any more books again. And now I have like 3 more. So, so I think it was enjoyable from that standpoint. And it has helped a lot of kids, especially the kids in my programs who are in residential treatment because they get their phones and privileges taken away, but they're allowed to read.
Oh, yeah.
So they actually do, whereas a lot of people don't take the time to read and I love to read, and I still look at my phone more than I should. So I'm not pointing fingers, but they actually do read it. And then, to have a teenager come back to you and say things like, you're my spirit animal. I would never even think to say something like that to somebody, but it means a lot coming from a teenager.
Yeah.
I read the shit out of your book, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, you read the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Nice. Never heard that one. Or even just, I've had people tell me it gives them permission to give voice to their own story, or you did it, Miss Liz, so I can do it too. All of that stuff makes it very enjoyable to me.
Yeah. And that was so I'll read a little bit about this. So you got 4.8 stars. It's available on Amazon too.
Yes.
And then we'll put a link inside of our Spotify so that way if anybody wants to purchase it, they'll just click on the link and
That's
stuff.
So cool. Thank you.
So this is on Amazon. It said The Finish Line Feeling. This uniquely uplifting memoir tells a compelling story of the author's journey from foster child and sexual abuse survivor to founder of the nationally recognized running organization Girls with Soul. With brutal honesty, Liz Ferro writes about her own experiences of trauma and how running, biking, and swimming pulled her through the toughest times imaginable, always reminding her of her own strength and worth. She writes about the challenges she's endured with humor and heart, always looking for the meaning in each and every experience. This inspiring Cinderella story, which ends with Ferro being named as an honoree for Traditional Home Magazine's Classic Woman Award, will inspire all readers, no matter their story or goals. Like a traveler on a long and tiresome journey, the finish line beckons you with the rewards and riches that come from achieving your goal, she writes. This warm beauty of the finish line after a race gives you the feeling of home and makes all the efforts of getting there worthwhile. So that is Finish Line Feeling. Again, it's 4.8 stars. You had a lot of people on there that I was reading a lot of the reviews on there. There's a lot of really nice reviews too. So what is that? We talked a little bit about it, but I mean, how does that make you feel? Do you go through there and read some of the reviews and stuff and kind of,
I used to.
Yeah.
I will every now and then. Sometimes, if and they're not usually bad, but sometimes you're like, oh man, I don't want to read bad things about myself. But a couple of them are bad sometimes or whatever.
Do you feel there's some truth to it though? Does it hurt because you feel like it might be true?
Yeah. I think sometimes when people say something negative about a book or a piece of art or whatever, and it's literally you.
Right. Yeah.
So if it was like your car or something else, you're like, yeah, whatever, man. Fucking build that car.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's literally me.
Yeah.
So you're talking shit about me.
Yeah.
Even though you don't know me. Like in this one, the publisher wanted to make it a superhero look for the cover and some of the pictures on the inside because it's a workbook.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a woman. I didn't have anything bad on Finish Line actually, and it did make me feel good to answer your question.
Yeah.
A good one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, or if they say it inspired them or whatever, that's what an author wants to hear. Like your words actually helped someone in some way. That's all that matters. But this one, so she's wearing a superhero outfit, and apparently the artist who did it, the first rendering, my publisher didn't even send it to me. He's like, it is so over-sexualized, and that's like the opposite of what you're trying to achieve, So I'm not even going to send it to you. So he sent me this one. It's fine. It's just a workout top with some leggings or whatever. No big deal. Normal superhero stuff. Well, she wrote the meanest review, and I don't know this person, so she doesn't know me, and I know I shouldn't care, but it was like she called me a Tinkerbell. in a half shirt trying to appeal to 11-year-old boys. And like, not everyone spends all day in the gym. I don't spend all day in the gym.
Right.
I'm literally there maybe an hour a day, you know? So it was the polar opposite of what I was trying to achieve, you know, with the book. And
Probably judging a book by its cover, though.
She
That's
literally
what she was
judged the book by the cover. Maybe she didn't even read the damn thing. She
Doesn't
would have
sound
been
like
more
it.
inspired, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there was really positive, amazing things in there, and all she did was rip me to shreds.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not even me. It's a cartoon.
Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes there's very unfair, reviews.
You know?
Yeah, like when with our business, like my first reaction is that I get angry, but then I'm like, is this true? And I really think about this because I want to get better, and I want our business to thrive, and I'm like, if I take this personally, then I am holding the business back and myself from getting better. It's just all in the ego,
It's true.
Sometimes there's very unfair reviews. Like that seems like a pretty unfair review.
Yeah. But supposedly no review is bad, kind of like no press is bad, because the numbers of the reviews count, not so much how many stars. Just for the algorithms, if they're going to put it out there and be like, you could also buy this book.
Right.
Well, that's dependent on how many reviews you have. So, and then the weird thing was that she gave me a 3-star. So why would you say all these mean things and then give 3 when you give 1? Like, it was so weird.
Right.
But no, you're right, because you need to learn from those things and, check yourself check your ego just for a second. And that's how you're going to get better. But same as working out, they're not all going to be good workouts.
Yeah.
When you go in, even on the days where you're like feeling amazing, you think you do, and then you get there and you're like, damn, my legs feel like lead today or whatever,
Yeah.
That's kind of like a bad review. Like, you got to figure out why. Like, why is it this way, and what can I do to fix it?
Yeah. Some people, like, I don't know if it's a healthy thing. Some people will hear something and they're like, I don't care. It's, just brush it off. I think that's a good mindset. And I think to a degree, though, I think that, if you're just going to just brush it off, like all reviews and even the bad ones, it's hard to learn sometimes from that. I think it's important sometimes to hear the critics, because your closest friends will always tell you, like, oh, it was amazing, it was great. But
right.
then you read something and you're like, you got to kind of search for the truth in that, because sometimes there is.
I'm a big proponent of making my own mind up too, though.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, well, I'll look at reviews, but I can't be. I don't know. Some people will just go on there and just spout off all kinds of crazy shit, you know?
Some people get paid to do reviews, and they get paid to do reviews. They might not even read the book or watch the movie or whatever. They wouldn't
know what it was.
Yeah, it's crazy. They might just look at the front cover and be like, oh, that's interesting.
Oh, it looks like Tinkerbell in a superhero outfit.
And they'll be like, what did other people say? I'm going to say something kind of similar,
Spin it around.
Yeah, some of the stuff is bullshit, though.
Right. But, I like to see if I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very important.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. So what's the next book about?
Oh, goodness. It's also fiction, very different from these. All my books have strong women, characters, people who fight, move forward, because there's all kinds of fighters, not just the MMA kind. People who have to sort of forge themselves in the fire and move forward. So the new one is about 5 friends who are female, and they grew up together in South Carolina and experienced a trauma together, and it's bonded them for life. But they're adults now. They're like 54-year-old women, and they live in different cities, and they're doing different things. And one of them is offered a chance to test an elixir that a doctor makes. It's for anti-aging. So she asks all her friends to do it with her, and it literally reverses their age by like 20 years. Like, physically, they can do everything they did when they were 30. They look like they're 30. Everything gets reversed. And so all kinds of like crazy shit happens. But there's always repercussions in that way. So it's letting frogs go for a reason. Has nothing to do with kissing princes and toads and finding your prince or whatever the hell. I know there's an expression that has to do with that. But it's really just about like female friendships and learning what's important to hold on to and what to let go of.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you take like things that happen in your life and try to apply it to that? I mean,
yeah,
maybe sounds like it. Some things.
I'm in just about every.
You can't kiss and tell though. If there's some crazy stuff that happens in there.
I know some of them. I mean, I could, but this one, is PG-13 or whatever. This one's pretty spicy. This one's definitely PG-13. The new one has some spicy scenes. One is real and one's not.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh.
That's like
We're going to have to guess.
the teaser. Yeah.
Hopefully it wasn't like you killed anybody.
No, it was a sex scene and I did not kill anybody.
Nice.
I killed them, but not in a bad way.
Well, kind of, like writing the books, like, you had a lot of inspiration, a lot of life experiences that motivated you to write your first book. I'm sure you come across a lot of people that are like, I would love to do this too. I would love to do something like this. They don't really know where to start. What do you suggest? I mean, you're 4 books deep. Like, if I want to start writing and if I want to start getting into this, like, what do I do?
Yeah, I actually get asked that all the time. Or even to meet with people so they can pick my brain, which I always thought that was a weird expression, pick your brain, but That's just me.
You have a bigger brain now, though, for being dehydrated from the first race.
It shrunk again.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
I wasn't going to say anything. I noticed. But,
I know. It's like when you get pregnant and your boobs get really big. They don't stay that way. Anyway, I'm sure you can relate to that. Yeah, sorry. Wait, you asked me something.
We all forgot. No,
I know,
right? Somebody that just to get started in writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I do get asked that a lot, and I just tell them what I did, which I knew nothing about publishing, writing books, nothing. I literally wrote when I could. I wrote what I felt like writing at the time, instead of forcing myself to write in a chronological order. For instance, the abuse or things like that. Some of the things I was like, I'm not in the mood to write that today. Might not have been the right order, but that's all right. You can go back to it. And same as working out. It's not going to get done, and you're not going to get better, and you're not going to accomplish your goal if you just don't fucking do it.
Right.
So you can't, I think Stephen King said this, you can't edit words that aren't there. So my advice is really just write. People are, well, how do you do it? You just do it. How do you run a marathon in elevation when you live in Ohio? You just do it. I show up, I got lungs, I got legs, I just do it. So that's my one thing. The other thing that was really helpful to me is there's this resource called the Writer's Market, and it's like a big, giant encyclopedia, so to speak. They print it every year, and it lists every single thing you need to know, like how to send a query letter. I didn't even know what a query letter was. How do you do this? How do you do that? And then it has every single publishing house in the whole world, basically, listed according to what genres they're looking for. What's their website? How can you reach them? Like that kind of stuff. And instead of me floundering, I really just used that as a tool and sent out when I got done with my manuscript and I had it edited and all that stuff. Started bombarding people like, this is a memoir. Oh, who takes memoirs? Who likes sports stories? Who likes this? This is fiction. And you get 1 million rejections if you even hear from anyone at all. Some nice, some not so nice. And hopefully you get a couple offers. So I got a couple, and that's where I went with it. But yeah, it's daunting. And it's not something that's like my arena. I never was an author before.
Yeah, there seems like there's a lot of peripheral stuff outside of just like writing. You're like, there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts that you have to have. What do you think is like the most difficult part about like writing a book? What's like, once you are done writing it, you're like, okay, this looks pretty good. What's after that? What's like the hardest part that you experience? Part of the process.
For fiction, for me, it was difficult at times even to recall like later on when I thought I was done, and then I go back to edit or look through what I wrote, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. This isn't for real, but as an example, like I might have killed somebody off in chapter 2, and then I've got them in chapter 11. I'm like, because I forgot.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. So it's really challenging, like to keep up with like, what did they say? Or like simple things like, Mike was sitting on the couch having a beer, talking to Joe. And then all of a sudden in the next scene, Mike's playing, he's not on the couch, he's at the pool table. And it's like, well, how did that happen? He was just on the fucking couch. It's hard to remember those kinds of things and not screw up, like scenes, I guess, basically. for fiction or nonfiction rather, I think it was really just editing. I'm terrible at editing. And when you read your own work, just like if you look at something that you did and you're like not as harsh as maybe somebody else, I see the words the way I think I wanted them to say or read, and they don't read that way.
Yeah.
So you need somebody else with fresh eyes to edit for you.
And too, even kind of thinking about that now, what you said, it's like when it's like nonfiction about your life, you take it's the criticism. It's a lot tougher to hear that stuff, you know, versus like maybe one of your fictional books where you're like, oh, you know, all right, maybe, you know, and I get it, you know.
Well, or it might not be your bag.
Right,
it's okay.
right.
You know, you don't like female firefighters, whatever, you know, but this is literally me.
And they'll give you like a 1-star saying your life sucks. Your life sucks.
Well,
like, oh,
it's
thanks.
funny. That was the motivation for my writing the story, or the finish line feeling was my mom told me, you're so crazy, you should write a book.
Yeah.
She wasn't like saying it for real. She thought I was crazy, but didn't think that I would write a book.
Or it's like the opposite when your brother told you no,
you can't do it.
Yeah, like you can't. So sometimes you could feel that as motivation to keep on going.
That's just me. I'm not generally someone who's motivated by negative, you know, like how, you know, management might say something negative to get somebody motivated, or like if I'm getting yelled at, like if I was in the Army, I'd probably get kicked out. If they were calling me a maggot or said I was weak or you suck or whatever, I'd be like, fuck off.
Are any of those true?
Yes, I am a maggot.
Nice. I was gonna say that, but you know, I don't want to.
You couldn't tell?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
I'm in the larva stage.
Yeah. What?
I don't even remember what that is. That eggs, right? Larva, pupa.
Yeah, don't ask me.
Maggot. I don't know. Isn't maggot just comes out of fly shit, right?
I don't know.
Fly shit, right?
Yeah. I think so.
How do we get there? Oh my God. Open the pale ale. Save me. Save me.
I already drank it. So after this book, you know, you thought you were done after the first one, and then now you're like 3 more after this. Is there like a one that you're like really eyeing in the future? Is there something that, you know, can we get part 2 of this, or what are you thinking?
This is actually a second edition. My first publishing company went under during COVID, and the one that picked it up is also the publisher of these 2. It's a really small publishing company called Library Tales in New York City, but he's awesome, and I love him to death because he's a great publisher, but also his name is Usher, and I get to say like, oh, I have a call with Usher today, you know, like, which I do never say.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone named Usher before, but it's not that Usher, obviously. But so he took it on and said, well, we'll make it a second edition. So he put a new cover on it, asked me to pose for the cover, which I didn't want to do. That was his idea. Sorry, Usher. And I added some chapters and a prologue that was different and all that stuff. But as far as eyeing different stuff, I really love my new one that's coming out, Letting Frogs Go. Like, I could totally see it being like a Netflix series.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm going to manifest that right now because it's really good and funny and just, I don't know, interesting in a lot of different ways. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
Or maybe a second book to answer your question.
Yeah. I mean, you know, is like besides that, so maybe because you got a lot of years left and there's a lot of shit you're gonna do. You know, like you might have like 10. I mean, you know, you got stuff you got to do.
My birthday's in 2 weeks.
How old are you gonna be?
55.
Nice.
I can't drive 55. Double nickels.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
It's not awesome.
No, it is. Well, now you could start your goal of running on all the continents now from 55 to 60.
Yeah.
Right? Like you did in 45, you know?
Then maybe I'll get it done in a couple of years.
Yeah, that'd be badass.
I only have a few more left.
Yeah. So last thing we'll talk about.
Got to sell a lot more books. I can't afford to go to Australia right now.
Well, well, I mean, hopefully we'll help a little bit. You know, like we'll post the link in there. Hopefully,
this is gonna put me over the edge.
This will.
I appreciate you so much.
After this podcast, you're gonna be in the millions. All right, so don't worry. You know, but
millions of what we don't know, but the millions.
Millions of maggots.
We can only hope.
What so girls with soul, what can you tell everybody about Girls with Soul? Like what do you do, and then what's kind of like your overall goal with that?
Okay, well, I started it in 2009, and our mission is to provide free fitness and wellness programs for girls who have experienced any type of abuse or who are at risk. And I guess, I mean, my overarching goal initially and still today was really just to reach girls who are maybe in a dark place and need a way to get out of it faster than I did. And that just spawned organically from my own experiences as, I was in 4 foster homes and there was abuse in all 4 of the homes in upstate New York. I was a Catholic Charities baby. So my name was Tammy when my parents adopted me, and they didn't like that name because they said it wasn't biblical enough. So they named me Elizabeth Sarah. And my dad tried to sort of build my confidence level when I came into the house. I was 2.5, so I could walk and talk and do everything. But I had a lot of emotional issues and outbursts, and I was afraid of my brothers. I was afraid of my dad, all kinds of stuff. So my dad thought, we're going to put this girl in sports. He kind of invented Girls with Soul because I had a lot of negative energy and nowhere good to put it. So that's what he started doing. And it really did actually save my life. Like, I should not be here, because once I started gaining the confidence and feeling a little bit better about myself, or even just my environment, my home and all that, my next door neighbor raped me, and I was only 8. So when my mom found out about it, she said, we can't tell anybody because your dad will kill him, and then your dad will be in jail, and it'll be your fault. Your dad's in jail. And she walked out of the room and never talked about it again. So it went on for about a year. So I was about 9 years old at that point. And at 9 years old, I literally had to just figure it out for myself. So there was a lot of confusion, anger, hatred, all kinds of all the stuff that goes with it, right? Plus the actual trauma itself. So without swimming and being part of a team, like you said, you can't let people down, or you just feel good about you. I felt clean. This sounds weird, but sometimes when you're sexually abused, you just feel like it's your fault. You're a dirty, horrible person. So my swim practices and my running and sweating and all that stuff made me feel cleansed, inside and outside. And I was like, okay, I feel stronger when I do this shit. And I could parlay the physical strength into emotional strength. And then that started to grow even from there, where, I could try to help other people. And that's how Girls with Soul started. And I really wanted these kids, because it took me a long time and I did a lot of dumb shit. And they have too, and that's why they're in residential treatment. But that's okay. So we have the POWER principles in Girls with Soul. It's an acronym. POWER stands for perseverance, optimism, wisdom, energy, and resilience. And these are all super easy, nothing special. Anyone can achieve them if they try. But they're all super impactful. And they're all things that you can get from working out, from fitness, and then you can use them in your life. So really, it was just my idea to see if I could give it a whirl and help one kid. And 15 years later, we've been working with thousands and did some good stuff along the way. So
yeah, I mean, that's awesome. You took something that was a really terrible situation and learn how to channel in different ways and then help other people. That's what I think is a really inspiring thing. And when we got to work with it was Sylvia from Cleveland Missing, and then Gina DeJesus, really opened my eyes to a lot of things, because I knew somewhat about your history, not as much as I did right now. And then obviously, with Gina DeJesus, that was such a terrible story, and to be able to have us all kind of work together, Strong Style
and bring in another girl that we can help together.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Oh yeah. And
the ripple effect.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. They're kind of doing a very similar thing too. You took something that was a terrible, traumatic situation, and then they're learning how to be able to help other people and work through their own stuff while they're helping other people. I think is a very powerful thing.
Yeah, that's true, because I think people think, oh, you're healed, you're fine now. Well, yeah, I'm much further along, but you're always working on it. I still have my demons too. Everybody does. So that's the whole point. You can keep doing it. You can be a fighter. You can move forward. So take that negative and turn it into a positive. That's what a pearl is. It's a pretty thing that came from something really nasty. How a pearl's made, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very simple but true way of looking at it, and it's good that, you're obviously you came a long way. It was interesting to, obviously, you have a lot of athletic accomplishments and stuff like that. But I think that, the stuff you're doing with girls with Soul is a very, it's a very, great thing that you're doing, and hopefully you keep on reaching people and, see where this takes you,
Thank you.
Other than that, so that book is coming out in July. And again, we'll post a link in our Spotify for your book, and they'll be able to purchase that. Go through our the Spotify link.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Australia, here I come.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I need South America too.
This is gonna help pay for all your trips to these other continents and doing your crazy shit over there. All right.
It's for a good cause.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Yeah, and it really is. But yeah, I mean, it was really good chatting with you, and I think
It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see everything that you're doing, and we appreciate you being at the gym too, at Strong Style, and I know that there's a good community there, and it seems like you got a good group of friends that you made from the gym, and hopefully the new place you'll come along with us, and you keep on bringing that positive energy that you got.
Thank you so much. It was fun. I can't wait till the new one opens.
Yep. Thank you, Liz.